Let's see. Hi guys, it's Christina with In the Garden, and I am in the greenhouse. It is sunny outside, and let me tell you the temperature. Actually, I had one in here, temperature reader. I'll have to figure out where it got put. The temperature outside, well, it says it's 30 degrees, but I'd beg to differ. It also says it's cloudy, but the sun is out. It feels like 50. I'll tell you that. It's after Christmas. And I got Amaryllis, some new ones to go with my existing crop of bulbs. And these are those wax-coated Amaryllis bulbs. I'm going to take the bulb colors off today and show you what it looks like underneath, particularly because it's not Christmas anymore. And then I wanted to show you, I bought these on Amazon, and I got 2 of them. And what I found is, I don't always read the description on Amazon, and the diameter only fits so many bulbs. But I do like it. The reason I brought them to the greenhouse is I want to see what other ones I have in here that I could fit into these. This one's a brand new pup, a tiny one that's not creating blooms yet. So I have that in there for now, but if I can find one that is blooming, that'd be great. So this is the container we put our Amaryllis in after last winter. So 2024, we had these for Christmas blooms. And then I put them all in here, put them in the greenhouse, and we kept them in here for the summer. This year's been so busy that we didn't then break them out of this container and put them into their planters. So here's what I did. I went and picked up planters like this that are metal with a hole. And I got plastic catch trays to go in them, but I'm going to start putting some plants in here, particularly the Amaryllis bulbs. And when I went to my local nursery, these were 60% off after Christmas, which I thought was really awesome, because even though they might not bloom this year or might not bloom during Christmas, they'll bloom at some point. And a friend of mine, they put their Amaryllis out into their landscape, which I think is really cool. So if you buy these after season, it's not a loss, because you can see those blooms next year. So I got 3 of these, and let's see what they normally are. So normally they're $30, and they were 60% off of that, which is super cool. So I got 3, and the 3 that I got are all the same jumbo white Amaryllis. So I'm going to put 3 of them together in one of these pots. This will be a bit of a coordinated effort because the soil is dry. I need to bring water in. I need to water these plants. There's another gigantic one. And I got a couple of dishes that match. So again, these are metal. They have a drain hole. I got 3 sizes. The tall one I just showed you, this tiny short one, this gigantic one right here. I would say that's probably 18 inches. So the diameter is large, but the height is shorter. So those 3 match. And then I got these 2, which are similar, and I like the color, again with drain holes. So let's see how many we can put in here. Before we do, I'm gonna get water, get gloves, get ready. Let's set these up here. And I'm gonna try not to break any of the blooms. And we have our dirt tray right here where we're going to do most of our operating, and then the water. So let me show you. I actually just cleaned out the greenhouse. So I've got all my trays ready for seeding here very soon. These are all the bulbs I'm going to put in the ground. We've had a really rainy fall and winter really. And so I haven't been able to get outside and do that. So I have all these bulbs and all those bulbs. I'm not worried about it. Here's our seeds we're going to start. I'm going to upplant this plant, and I'll tell you about it in our next video. And here are those Christmas ones, the jars, the large Amaryllis, and we're going to get started on that. But let's get a water bucket real quick. So this potting soil is usually anaerobic. the water doesn't like to absorb into it. So we'll do the best we can. The neighbor is inspired by the sun as well, and I believe I think they're weed whacking. So what are we going to top dress this with? We are going to use that green moss that we bought and top dress these as soon as we get them all planted in. Amaryllis does not like to be all the way under the soil, so you're going to plant it kind of like it is here, where just the roots are going to want to make soil contact. You don't want to get any water into the bulb. So by putting the moss around the top, you're covering the tops of the bulbs, but it's not necessarily creating a overwatering issue. Okay, let's mix it in. Holy moly, that's dry. Okay, let's add the rest of this watering can. And I filled up 2 of these, I think they're 3-gallon watering cans. You can get these watering cans and this dirt tray all on Amazon, or you can go to Gardener Supply. I might have gone to Gardener Supply for this dirt pan, which is actually really nice if you're looking for a place to keep the mess. Okay, move this watering can. Our greenhouse is still a tiny greenhouse, so we don't have tons of room, but I don't think you need a lot of room to make a greenhouse work. First thing to do is take off the hole. If you aren't gonna water your amaryllis much, you could just leave it on there, but I bought catch pans, so I'm gonna be okay with it. And then I'm gonna actually put my finger in there. You can put a paper towel to take up the space of the hole, not allowing dirt to get out but water to stay in, or you could just plug it while you're filling it. I hope you can see this. Let's see. So we're about halfway. And the nice thing about these not being ceramic or any kind of, I'm trying not to set it on the dirt because I don't want to get the whole container dirty. But the nice thing about these not being made out of ceramic or glass or some kind of pottery is that it's going to fill up with a lot of dirt and get really heavy. So I'd rather not to start out weighted and then add more weight with the soil. So I was really thinking that this was a good combination. And I'm not going to fill up to the edge because we're going to have the moss, but we're going to give it a good layer. And the moss that's in here, I have some moss, you probably can't see it from there, but there is some moss in this dirt pan from last year when we took out, it's right here, when we took out the amaryllis, and you can just throw that back into your soil because it's not going to hurt it, it's just going to absorb water. Okay, this is how full it is. So let's make some selections real quick. So this bulb for sure, this one is a white nymph, which I think these are too. No, these just indicate jumbo. And they typically come balled up like this with a rubber band. You can cut them off, or you can pull them off. Both work. Now my husband is cutting wood, so hopefully you can hear me. All right, and I have a little catch here that'll catch all of this, but I like to try to take off some of this. This isn't helping or hurting the plant, so if you don't take it off, it's fine. But I don't like it aesthetically, but also I just feel like the plant's gonna want to breathe. So I don't always take it down to this green layer, but I'm gonna with this one. That was really... Okay, now this one's gonna be an outer edge one. So let's make some room up here. So I'm gonna put that on the outer edge because I'm gonna put the bigger ones up there. Okay, let's move these real quick. I can put them right there. Like I said, space is super limited because I'm trying to fit a lot of things into the greenhouse right now to get them out of the cold. Okay. Let's do these next. I'm interested to see how this looks. I'm going to go in from this direction. My kids kept asking me if these were onions. Ooh, that's pretty sturdy. So the way that these grow is the moisture stays trapped in here. So it doesn't, you can see it's not like it expands out very much. I feel like that flower is just wagging around. And it's double coated from what I can tell. So there's an outer layer and an inside layer. Let's see if we can get it out now. Okay. And it's not hurting it, it's just holding in the moisture. We can peel this and let's put that in the outer edge of this bowl. So let's get the bowl up here now. Let me get the catch pan. Here is our bowl. So you see I placed this one in that outer edge. We're gonna do the same with this. My hope is to put the bigger ones in the inside, I believe, but I'll let you know. Let's show you what it looks like in here. So it's a little lower. These bulbs don't need a lot of soil, so this is the way I want it to look. Let's put that soil in there. And then we'll top dress it with the green moss. Okay, here are the other ones. So some of these are pups, or what you call pups, from last year, which I plan to put the pups all in the smallest one. So this is what a pup looks like. It's a tiny, tiny bulb, not yet gigantic enough to bloom, but they're little pups that'll be future bloomers in future years. So that is what it looks like. Now remember, I stuck one in the water. So this is what a pup grows up to be, that size, versus this size. I'm trying not to, this is so much better if you get these out when the soil, first of all, the soil should be dry, but I waited so long that what was happening is that they were growing on their own, and I felt really obligated to water them because they were trying so hard to live. Okay, I think I got one. And once a couple of these come out, you'll be fine. You don't have to do this to where you would put them in a container all together and set them in your greenhouse for the summer. I just like to do that to condense down this space. These, when I first started them, were all in their own containers. Okay, this is the formation of what could be a new pup. Here. So let's put this one, this is gonna be a bigger one, so let's put him in the middle. And essentially what I'm trying to do here today, guys, is set these up to bloom the rest of this year in the proper pot, which, like I said, I would assume that you'd wanna do this before Christmas. Okay, so we've got quite a few going here. And these will be a beautiful, beautiful presentation. Now these next two are bigger bulbs. They are the jumbos that I bought. So these are gonna be bigger. So I think, well, what I was gonna do was put the jumbos in there, but I'm thinking I'm gonna save them for the green container that is this same size. Here's a pup, keeping all the pups together. These are so happy. They have such big root systems. It's kind of crazy. All right, let's muscle this last one. Oh. I am hoping that I don't break any of the flowers. Oh, it's an arm workout. Okay, this is a jumbo, and I'll set the jumbo in here for now, but we're gonna put it in the other one. Now this is the biggest pup I have, I believe, and it came off of that one I just took out. Look at that root system. So that is a very big pup. And what I'm gonna do when I plant the pups is I'm going to, ooh, that root system so big. I'm going to cut the leaves off so that they spend all their energy on the bulb itself. So this year I did not do what I taught you guys in another video to do, which is to, holy moly, look at this one. Look at the root system. That one's insane. If you want, you can cut leaves off. It does not hurt them. It just, they get floppy sometimes, especially since these weren't properly set up. This is a big pup too, actually. It's like a bulb and two pups. Okay, so this is what I think is the bulb. This is a pup. And that's a pup. Okay. This is a huge root system of all of the Amaryllis. I'm gonna take it over here and chunk all the dirt off of it, but that's what the Amaryllis was all in. It had been watered, but clearly not draining. And I'm gonna save this container because I like to put stuff in it. I could put it down here, and that's what it looks like so far. These are where all the pups are gonna go. Let's take the plug out. And we're actually gonna head to a movie. So I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. Good gravy. For the wrap up of this video. These plugs are not easy to get out when you're wearing gloves. Okay, so I think we have time. We're gonna plant these really quick. So let me put my finger in the hole. I totally made a mess all over the ground. Let's put these guys up here for a second. Okay, so let's plant our big bulb in the middle and our baby pups all the way around. Baby pup, baby pup. And they call them pups because they're spurring off of the mother plant. You would have to tell me if that is an official. I'm 100% sure it's not what they would call a plant growing off the mother plant, like officially in the garden world for sure. Okay, this looks like a horrible mess. I understand. Do not worry. The moss cleans this right up. Now what we are going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off all of these leaves. I'll leave the center one, but them spending any time growing their leaves right now isn't really important because they're not going to bear a flower. So you're okay to take those off. We're going to clean this up and we'll come back and finish the rest of them. So we've got 2 containers started. This one has the big ones. These big ones will go to the big bowl that we're gonna make another one of. So just to be clear, these will stay, these two big ones. I'm gonna go ahead and set them here. It's perfectly fine for them to be in here for one day. There's still a lot of moisture. And I have this heater keeping them warm. So this is what this will look like. I'll put 2 more in here. This is what this will look like. We'll wipe it down and put some moss in it. Okay guys, that's all we had time for right now, but we'll see you in a little bit and we'll finish this off. Hello everyone, it is the next day and some of the amaryllis are actually blooming, so I want to work quickly to get these in the house. I did go into the shed and grab the green moss, although I'll tell you the green part is the part they color. It's lost its color because it was from last season, so this is the natural color of the moss and that's fine with me. So we're going to put it on there. This one is blooming. There's one blooming in the big container, and I need to find one that fits here. And I did find one that I liked. When I pulled those apart, some of the amaryllis lost nearly all of their root system on the bottom. And so some of them are a little sad today because they need those roots to take in water. And so I'm assuming what will happen, I'm gonna keep a couple, and I'll show you in a second, but I'm gonna keep a couple of them in the, instead of putting them in the water, I'm gonna keep them in that dirt inside the container that we plan to take inside. That way it's at least touching moist soil. Whereas if I put it here, if the roots aren't dangling down, then it won't actually take in the water. So the one that I'm talking about was taken from the group yesterday, and the root ball looks like this where there's no roots, because in the wax it didn't need roots. But now that it's out of the wax, this will start forming roots. Well, the one that I'm talking about, here it is. At the base, there are no roots sticking out. See, this one has roots right here. And that one has some, and I believe, nope, see that one doesn't have any, but if it touches the soil, that should help it out. And so this one was waning the other way. So I'm facing it this way, and I'm giving it this little guy to help it. So let's put this in the soil here. And I want a 5th, so it'll be 5 around and 1 in the middle. And look at how, let me turn this. Look at how beautiful that is already. So I want to take it inside for New Year's. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead, oh, it's not stirring. I'm going to fill the top with the moss as well here. And then remember, we have those 2 and these 3 bulbs that we'll put in another container down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the moss in the big container and the small container, get them moved, and then I'm going to move on to the next one and try to wrap this up quickly. Now the moss you can wet. In my case, I'm going to actually moisten it after I place it, but you can do that ahead of time. And I need one more to go in here. So how about I steal the largest pup that we had? And sorry, that moss was dusty. Let me take off some of this outer shell, and we're going to nestle it in here so we have our 5th. And then we still have all of the little pups in there, which I think I'm going to rearrange really quick after I get all of this moss placed in. So you can use the moss to hide the bulbs. It also makes it look like a very forest bed kind of feel. Gosh, it's like particles everywhere. I'm going to put it down lower. Let's see if I get less in my face. Okay, that was better. It almost looks like a forest floor. I like it. And I don't like when it was bright green, so I'm glad that it faded. All right. And you can jam these in so that the bulbs feel like they're tucked in and tight, which is what I'm going to do. Okay. Here is one completed. Okay, so let's water it. So the soil's actually moist already. This is just moistening the moss. Kind of gets it to settle down too, kind of gets it into place. All right, I'm gonna move this one. All right, so I'm gonna put my gloves back on because I'm gonna try to get these kind of nestled into the dirt. All right, so kind of move, let's take that off of there real quick. Move the soil over, kind of nestle it down. Let's take a couple of these out. So here's what I'm trying to do. You move the soil over, you nestle it down. You don't want to go past this mark here with the large bulbous diameter of it. Hopefully that made sense. And then you leave most of the upper part exposed. But if you tuck it in a little, it stabilizes the bulb. If you don't, it gets top heavy when it has a flower, and then it's wobbly. So you got to give it some amount of stability. So pull it away, tuck it in. It's not a lot, but it helps. Let's put this little guy here. It also allows room for the roots to kind of like settle in. You can kind of poke them down. And since these are all maturing small bulbs, they can stay in this container for the rest of this season and probably one more season before they need more room. All right, so I'm gonna brush off the sides, and then we're gonna put our moss in. And in the case of these being really small and that we cut the leaves off yesterday, you're not going to see these so much until they poke through again. Is that nice? Little woodland potted plant. Okay, let's make our next one. We're back over in this area again, and to fill the bottom of the pot, I'm gonna leave the cork in here that's in there. I don't think we're gonna water it so much that we're going to need it to drain away. And this one, I'm gonna put probably in the dining room. So I'm gonna take this huge root ball that came from that last one, and I'm gonna use it to fill the bottom. Okay, and then I'm gonna scoop these, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this leaf because it's already bent and it probably won't become upright again. So let's get all this dirt in there. And again, these containers are really deep and you don't have to fill them all the way, which is nice. So you're going about halfway. Okay, let's move that up to the counter. And if we do a good job of scooting this over, we shouldn't get it too dirty if we were to set it up here. Okay, now let's grab these. I think I want this one right in the middle. So that's where that root ball is and hard. Okay. Let me add a little more soil, and the reason is, getting soil all over. The reason I want to add a little more is because I wanted to create a little pocket for it to nestle into, which is hard when the root system is right there kind of poking on it. Okay, so now I'm gonna, with one hand, try to cover as much as I can and push it down to create stability, like I was saying. Ooh, this one will nestle right in there, real nice. And I actually think, based on, apologies, I'm moving you guys a lot. Okay, based on, look at that, those are about to bloom really nice, but they're flopping, so they're either cold or they're either cold or they're just not getting enough moisture. So let me unwrap these. Let's get all this set up and then we'll put the moss on. And you might have heard it. I have a heater in here that turns on when it gets down to a certain temperature. So if you need one of those, you can get them on Amazon and they're really handy. That is gigantic. Look how big that is. And see, they come with a little bit of root and they're gonna just poke right in there, real nice. And I haven't found another one for the glass. So maybe this year I'll only do one. This is a very good example of a new bulb starting here. So it'll start here and then eventually you can break that off, probably in about a year, and these are trying to grow. So as soon as we get them into soil and water, they'll take off.